Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Oxygen Not Included, the Spaced Out DLC achievement run that I'm going to be creating with this playthrough. Below in the description, you'll find the seed that I'm going to be using for the asteroid if you'd like to follow along on your own playthrough. I'm going to be providing some tutorial-esque steps here, so hopefully it'll lead us to victory on getting the full achievements in the list. So to start us off, if you'd like to follow along, you'll click on New Game, Survival, and then Spaced Out. You'll want to copy the seed that I've provided in the description into this little segment right here. Just use Control V to paste it in there. After a second, you'll see in the 3 different asteroids there'll be the different metal-rich, metallic caves, and another metal-rich. You'll see them in the different asteroids up here as well. And we're going to start on the Tyrannia asteroid. It's by far one of the more easy ones to complete the achievements on, since you don't have to deal with some of the other harsh environments right away. So let's get started. Now, I've played a little bit of Oxygen Not Included, so I've gotten a number of hours within the game, and my way of doing things might not be the most conventional or the best. If you have any suggestions on how any other players could achieve the achievements a better way than I do, please let me know in the comments, because sometimes these achievements can get very difficult. To start us off, we're going to look for a couple of specific type of duplicants. On our first one, we're going to need a rancher. This is really important because we have to push our hatches and get as many as we can as quickly as we can. So we're going to re-roll this a couple of times to get a high-rolled husbandry duplicant. So let's just do that a couple of times. 7-7 pacifist, shriveled taste buds. You know what, we're just gonna go with this because it's really good. Plus 70% groom effect with 7 husbandry. That's really good. The second person that we're going to use is, we need a really good researcher. In order to get down the different types of research, I want to say lines, but that's definitely a lack of a better term here. We need to have a really decent researcher to progress into the tech trees. There it is. There's the right word. So we're going to re-roll a couple of times until we find one with a decent roll that we like. We've got a plant murderer with researching 9. That's pretty decent. I don't want to have to keep rolling. Alright. Our last one that we're going to want is a cook. We need to have someone that's capable of making barbecue, so they're going to need their cooking relatively high just to make it cook a lot faster. Let's just do not a narcoleptic cook. That sounds terrible. Let's just do this a couple of times. And this should be fine. So 8 cuisine plus 40% cook speed, irritable. As long as you stagger your time on the different schedules, this really doesn't become an issue. But starry-eyed is just good in general, but he's probably going to stay on the asteroid. I'm going to roll on the randomizer here for the name of the colony. You know, feel free to name it whatever you guys like. I'm just going to go with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, the Serene Dimension. Embark. So I will say, in most playthroughs that I have done, the very first thing that I like to do is just pause the game when it all shows up. You don't want to waste time and start doing aimless things. There's kind of a good order of operations here. So we have our oxalite that's going to provide us with a little bit of oxygen before we start creating our own. So this is all here, and then there's some up here and around here. So once those kilograms of oxalite go away, these disappear and you can build in those tiles later on. Let's start by digging in this direction. We're going to want a bathroom over here since the water is relatively close. And then we're going to have another over here. This is going to be the bedroom area, just to begin with. This is what we want to do in order to get to the metal ore for doors, because we want to get morale points for rooms and all kinds of other fun stuff. Now that we have some material, let's start by creating our bathroom. How I like to do it is I like to work my way from the outside door in. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so I went 7 over just to give us plenty of space for this side. Let's go wash basin 1, wash basin 2. Then we're gonna grab 2 outhouses, 1, 2. We finally got some metal, so under base, let's do a door here, and then another door on the other side, because we're going to need a pitcher pump over here. The Holy Trinity is what I call it, of things you want to start with for the first cycle are a bathroom, a bedroom, and a research station. Maybe some wiring if you can acquire that. It's, you know, after you get to the research station, it gets really close to the next cycle. So it's just the main goal is somewhere to use the restroom and some sleeping quarters at the beginning. So what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go, because we'll want 3 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's that right there. And we're going to add 3 cots. 1, 2, 3. We also need to place our pitcher pump, which is going to go right here. So if you'd like to use the tutorials, click on them by all means. I'm going to skip them for the purposes of the video. I've seen them a couple of times now, so I won't bore you guys to death while we watch the duplicants actually build our base here instead. Oh look, we have a blueprint. So blueprints are one of the more recent additions to Oxygen Not Included. It's just, you know, kind of the true end game. Ooh, cafe print for wallpaper. That's pretty cool. I like it. I think they're set to give you either a certain amount of time or amount of games, or I'm not really sure, but generally I've found you get at least one within the first cycle, and as you play you'll get more and more. So for our bathroom here, we don't want them washing their hands as they go into the bathroom, unless we have other germ issues. So we're going to set the direction to the left. And that's just to have them wash their hands as they leave instead of going in and out. Let's do... I'll have you build those. So while they're finishing that, let's take a look at our schedule. So I mentioned earlier in the video the different schedules that you can have for bath time. Now bath time is really important because that's when they use the restroom. Down the road we're going to have probably close to 30 duplicants, I would say, maybe more. And you don't want all of them going to the bathroom at the same time unless you have enough bathrooms to cover that portion of the day. So to alleviate that, we're going to create some new schedules. We don't have to utilize them right now. It's just good to be proactive and have these ahead of time. So if you see anything that you want to change, or if you get a duplicant that gets a bonus in the early bird or in the nighttime, you can have them work in those respective areas. Let's go with downtime first. So I'm just going to stagger it 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Do I have any more? No. All right, then we're going to do bedtime. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. Bath time, super important. Let's put it at the end of all of those, and we'll be good to go. After cycle 1, I will probably change where these guys are on the scheduling, because every time that you get a new duplicant, they get on the default schedule. So you want to make sure that you keep either this one clear or you just have enough room to add one more duplicant. Alright, we are about 3/4 of the day. We need to make our research station now that we have our bedroom and the other room here. And I know that, so while I say that, let's actually take a look at the room overlay. So we have the latrine, which gives us, you can see it at the bottom in yellow, the morale +1. And then over here we have the barracks with the morale +1. So that's really good. Down here in the water hole, it's what I'm going to call it at least, we're going to use the game's mechanics to our advantage. And what I mean by that is, in any given tile at any given time, you can only have one type of gas or one type of liquid. So what you saw here was I've pushed them to build on this wall next to the water, forcing the water over to the right. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to do that one more time right here. So that way we have enough water underneath the pitcher plant for a while instead of having to keep moving stuff around. So that's why we're doing it in that way. Eventually that will change. We'll probably create a whole new area for the water tank, especially since we have more water down here and over here. But this just kind of suits our needs at the moment. And that mechanic within the game is going to make our life much easier, especially when we need to create systems for oxygen. So as you see, all this water kind of evened out after we built both of those. So we're kind of ahead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 1 2 3. We're gonna start our power generation room, which for now I'm going to build under this right here. So for the achievement run, some of the things that we really need to consider are our food supply and pretty much where all of the food is going to come from until we can get the hatch farm set in stone. And while we're talking about that, let's actually take a look. If you hit escape and you go to colony summary, these are a list of all the achievements. The two time sensitive achievements are the carnivore and I guess the locavore. They kind of go hand in hand. If you complete the carnivore challenge without planting planter boxes, farm tiles, or hydroponic farms, or planting anything within those, you'll essentially get both of these before cycle 100. So we have to focus on the ranching with the hatches in order to get this challenge, because that is the most efficient way to do so. Now if we scroll down a little bit, there's also super sustainable, which is 240,000 kilojoules of power without using coal, gas, petrol, or wood generators. So we have to use solar panels, hydrogen generators, and the manual generators in order to get that without those extra bits of power. So that's going to take some time but that's okay. If we scroll down a little bit more as well, the one that we need to look at is down the hatch. So produce 10 tons of refined metal by ranching smooth hatches. This is the other reason that we need to ranch hatches, so we can get the different versions going. Not to mention it makes you use less power since you don't have to manually crush the ore into refined metal. So this is definitely a really good one to go for as soon as possible. And the rest of them we will work through, but for the main few 100 cycles, we're going to get some of these more difficult ones out of the way. So we have no power up yet, but that's alright. We're going to go... So they'll start with that on cycle 2. And if there are any questions about what I am doing, or any sort of, you know, hey, you could have done this, why didn't you do that? You know, in my playthroughs I like to do things this way, and you know, if there's anything of that nature, please leave a comment, let me know. That's one of the best things about this game, is there's many different ways to complete it, and a lot of different variants on play styles, which I find really enjoyable, because sometimes my ways are not the most efficient. I'll acknowledge that at least, but I like to hear the feedback, because sometimes people have better ways of doing things. Alright, so that's it for cycle 1. We're already looking in good shape here. We've got our bathroom, got a research station, got the barracks going. When I mentioned food and sustainability earlier, kind of one of the main things that helps get you to the hatch barbecue stage is muckroot. So you can uproot these one time, or you can find them in the buried objects. That's what these little cracks are, and they will help sustain your base until you can get to the barbecue stage. So that's the route we're gonna go. We're going to try and get as much muckroot as possible. There is a finite amount, obviously, because you don't have cracks in every single place, but that is what's going to allow us to push the ranching and do that for the remainder of the first 100 cycles. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is have our first ranch here. 1, 2, 3. Now if we want to have a ranch, we need to know the size of the room that we need. So if we go to the room overlay, you can scroll over these, and stable, that's the ranching building. Minimum 12, maximum 96. So we want the maximum size possible. That way our hatches don't get overcrowded. And the way we're going to do that is, I like to hit C for cancel, and then I just left click, hold, and drag to see how big it can get. So right here is about the first ranch that we're going to do. It's not too bad, but let's just do this so I don't forget. So that's going to be the corner of the ranch going from one end to the other. So now that we have most of the ladder done, we need some power. So let's start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an oxygen diffuser. The main limitation that we are going to encounter shortly is not having the skill points necessary to use the ranch or to use the advanced research station. So we're gonna have to keep creating tasks for them in order to push the achievement points. And if you, or not achievement points, the skill points. So to see the experience a duplicant has, you'll want to click on the printing pod, click on the duplicant skills, and then in the skill points page, that's where you're going to be able to find the information that you're looking for and how quickly you're going to be able to move on to the next hat, so to speak. Plus they like hats and it makes it cool. So now let's just hit escape, let them do their thing for a little bit longer here. Let's look at our tech tree. To start it off, I am going to get these two done, basic farming and meal prep. I like to move the ration box out of the way. It's not helpful in the position that they put it in, so we're going to move that, and then we're going to create a mess hall with the mess table as well. And then after we get that, we're going to go down to the advanced research and get the supercomputer. Even though we won't be able to move it right or use it right away, that's okay. We'll just want to have it set up for that. And then after those two, I'll explain further as we go along. So one of the reasons that I put my research station here, and then after we move the ration box over here somewhere, I'll put the supercomputer right here. That's because of the lighting. So if you click on the lighting overlay, which is this light overlay, you can see that the printing pod generates light on to the left and right a little bit. While they're doing research, the printing pod provides the light that gives us 15% increased work speed. So that is huge when you're trying to push the tech trees. So we're gonna use that benefit for a little bit here, and then eventually push the advanced research station and the research station into their own laboratory. So we have that going. We're going to need to dig in this direction, where we are going to get a new duplicant in 1.2 cycles. So we have some time to create another bed. One of the things that I needed to do was change our schedule. We want Steve, thank you for volunteering. You are now on the different schedule. And then Gossman and Hassan are going to be on the other ones. Now their bathroom times are staggered, so we won't have as much of an issue. Let's see, how much does it tell you how much food they provide you? No, it does not. I believe it's 1,200 calories per. I might be wrong about that, but I think it's somewhere in that area. This is the fourth tile up, so we're going to put 2 of them right there. We want to limit the shine bug capabilities, keep them up here as much as possible. That's because we don't want them waking up the duplicants as they're sleeping, because if they don't like the light, most duplicants don't like the light, so we don't want them to shine during sleeping time. I'm one of those people myself. I can't have any lights on in the room when I go to bed. We'll do that. We will get rid of the bristle blossom. Yeah, you do that, and you do it now, because I don't want the bristle blossom to go off. Some duplicants have a negative trait where they are allergic to floral scent, and if they get that, they get a bunch of sneezing fits, so it makes them really inefficient. So I like to take care of that rather quickly, nip it in the bud, as of where, I know, dad joke, I'm sorry. Okay, so I guess it was only 1,000 with that muck root. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm not entirely sure. I thought I saw 1,200 calories. Either way, that's fine. We have a bunch more. As you can see up here, we have more buried muck root and a lot of other ones. Okay, so while that's gonna go on, we're gonna add another bedroom. Not bedroom, bed. Actually, let's try that again. We want to use the camping cot this time around. This is what I mean by the cosmetics. They are done really well. Clyde did a fantastic job of creating all of their unique individual buildings. A manual generator hamster wheel for the duplicants. I mean, that is super creative. I love it. I love all this kind of stuff that they do. It just puts a smile on your face when you see these kinds of things. Anyways, we're almost done with cycle 2. I think our goal was close to met. I'm not sure why we weren't able to. We're waiting delivery of copper. I don't think we have enough copper, maybe? No, we have copper here. Yeah, let's change the priority then. I think it's because they started doing the research, so you know that means you have only 2 people running around and doing stuff while one is running on there and then the other is doing the research table or research station. So that is where also priorities can come into play. We want Hassan to be our researcher, so we are going to make you super likely or super high priority on those, and then we're going to do lower priority for Ghostman and Steve, and then ranching is going to be super high, cooking is super high on them too, and then we'll go lower. No, you know what? Don't even bother. Don't even bother. We're gonna do that instead. And the reason we do this is to kind of push them towards what they're good at, because they'll do it more effectively and efficiently than the other guys will. And that is cycle number 2. Oh look, we have another blueprint already. What do we get this time? Let's see what we get. Ooh, a polka dot track jacket. Alright, so they're almost done with the day, since we shifted over the downtime. So just now getting to the eating and everything else. Okay, so I was talking about where we were going to put the first ranch. So the first ranch is going to go here, and then the second one and third one are going to be staggered above it. I don't know if staggered is the right word. Probably just one on top of the other. That way we don't have to change anything on the sizing. We haven't found any ranches yet, but I haven't really been focused on digging up the buried objects just yet. That's where they're located. So if it's not muckroot, it's probably going to be either a hatch or a seed of some kind. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to start pushing through these cracks and seeing what's behind them. One thing you do need to look out for is hatches will eat quite a bit of different objects. So if you're not careful and you dig up a muck root, but then also dig up a hatch next to it, there's a chance that they'll walk over it and eat your muck root. Obviously, that's not a good thing, so we want to avoid that if we can. And you can move objects, so you can just left click on it, click on move to, and then I want this over here. I don't really care right now, but in the long term that might be helpful, especially if we don't want hatches to eat specific things. We can have them just move the items as we need them to. Let's check on our oxygen. Yeah, we definitely need some oxygen generation. And we're also going to start the carbon dioxide pit. Right here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to move the ration box in to an area that has carbon dioxide in the tiles. And what that's going to do is it's going to slow the decay rate on the food. You'll see the actual label while it's in the carbon dioxide. It's going to say sterile atmosphere, I believe. And that slows the decay rate of the food that's inside of it. Obviously, it's not as good as refrigerators, but we're not going to go for refrigerators since this is an achievement run. We're going to have to wait for that for a little bit. But yeah, we want the food to last as long as possible, especially since we aren't going to be doing any sort of farming until after cycle 100. Okay, so after cycle 3, we are going to pause there and conclude this very first episode. Since this is an achievement run, I'm not going to play offline, and I am not going to fast forward through any of the days. I'm going to try and keep the speed always on the lowest setting. That way nobody misses anything, and I can segment all of the different sections of the video easier. So let's finish out cycle 3 and then we'll close it out. Until the next episode, that is. The other thing we need to do down here is start creating carbon dioxide pit, but we want that after this one is all done, because we have a bunch of carbon dioxide down here, right? We have a whole bunch, so it's really hard for them to do anything down here. So now that we have an oxygen diffuser, it's going to start compressing all of the carbon dioxide downward. If you Google what is it called? A gas chart for oxygen not included, it'll show you all the different gases and how heavy they are. That it's just a helpful chart to look at if you're trying to understand the different sizes, not sizes, but the density of the gas. Oxygen is a good in the middle ground gas, since it'll stay kind of in the middle of them all. And then hydrogen is a lighter gas, so that usually floats to the top of the asteroid, and carbon dioxide usually falls to the bottom. So that's just kind of normally what I see, if I'm remembering the gas chart properly. But anyways, Google that, make sure that what I've said is actually true. Let me know if I'm wrong, please. I do like trying to remember the correct information when I'm talking about things. So we're going to add our research for the advanced research station. And we also need to not let people in and out of this door. It just makes them take longer, so I don't want to have that every single time. So we're going to open that door, we're going to open this door, open the bathroom door, open the water door, and then we're going to change the priority of the bedroom to this, number 7, and let's look at our new duplicant options. Rust, that's a no-go, don't need that. We have a cook already. Researching, operator, and doctoring. Increased medicine, increased cuisine. This duplicant's refined palate demands only the most luxurious dishes the colony can offer. Yes and no, you're okay. And then at construction, increased medicine and caregiver and kitchen menace. I think the route to go here, let's do Rowan, because he can do the other research station while Hassan is doing the advanced research station. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. Oh wait, look at that, he got a skill point right off the bat. Yep. Alright, I guess we found our researcher. He gets a hat right away. Woo! Cool hat, we like that. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is check his schedule. As I said before, he gets put on the first schedule. So we are going to put him on Steve's schedule. That way Steve has a buddy. Okay, so down here you can see the sterile atmosphere tag. You click on the ration box and on the right it decreases the food's decay rate. To deconstruct the old box, change this priority to 7. That way they pick up the food much faster than most of the other stuff. Yep, and we're starting the pit, the extra pit for carbon dioxide. So a lot of the other stuff that I haven't even covered yet are things like the oxygen overlay. You can see the different types of stuff that you cannot breathe in, which is pretty important. You know, you've got hydrogen down here, chlorine, 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 more chlorine, polluted oxygen. While it might be, you know, they can breathe in there, it might not be good for that because you could have germs. Germs are bad. Slime lung is bad. Don't get slime lung. Avoid slime lung at all times. Let's go back to our oxygen overlay. But you can kind of see where, you know, it's really beneficial to kind of, hey, all my guys are going to be in here running on the hamster wheel. Let's make sure that they can breathe, right? Type of thing. We have our power overlay, which shows us where all of the different wires are going. These are the different statuses that you can see, and as we generate power, it'll tell us if they're inactive or if they're safe to use, or if things are getting a little bit too close to the 1,000-watt limitation on the wire. Next one up, we have temperature overlay. This is really important because crops do not grow if things get too hot or cold. So to address the temperature issue here, we're going to add insulated tiles probably all along the wall here and then over in this direction. Abyssalite, this stuff right here, is really good to use as a potential border creator because it insulates on both ends of the biomes that you have. So we have some here. We'll probably do an L from down this over to here, and that'll kind of stave off any of the heat transferring from the hot zone to this one. The next overlay is the materials one. So you've got coal, you can see the granite. If you're looking for something specific, you can click on the different types and it'll tell you, hey, I need that, or I'm looking for sand. So we know sand. Which one is sand? It is isn't it a filtration medium? See, look, all this is sand, so you can kind of filter out what you're looking for with that. Our light overlay, not going to go over that, it makes sense. Plumbing overlay, we don't have any plumbing yet, so I can't show you how that works yet. Ventilation, same thing there. Decor is good and bad. Decor is good because it makes your duplicants more happy. They like the areas they're visiting, and the morale goes up with better decor value, I believe. So you'll want to add good decor values to the base later on down the road in the game. You don't need to do that as much in the beginning. Germ overlay is just that. It's important that you see, hey, these got some germs on it. We should probably have them disinfect that, which is a icon down here. Yeah, disinfect that, which they'll do that either now or in the next day. Oh, look, we found our hatch. There's one hatch right there. Awesome. We're gonna need a lot of those guys. So back here, so we're on the farming overlay. This they've recently changed. It actually gives you a kind of percentage as to how close they are to being ready to harvest. Before they did not do that. And it's a really nice tool to see how things are actually going. Oh, we need to do this. Alright, and then the last two overlays we have are the rooms overlay. I've kind of already shown this a little bit. And then our radiation overlay. This is another reason why I don't like the shine bugs, because they can provide issues if you have things exposed to radiation for too long. But they're good at killing germs. If you have shine bugs with near slime lung and whatnot, they'll really start pushing back on slime lung and things of that nature. But yeah, in the base, I usually tend to keep them out as much as possible. Alright, so that's it for the overlays. We are on cycle 4. Thank you for watching. I will be restarting at the same point in time in episode 2. If you have any questions or any sort of recommendations, please let me know in the comments below. And with that, we will see you next time.